From an inventive co-op with Airborne Express as a Lindner student, to founding a healthcare startup just 2 years after law school, to now launching a first-of-its-kind franchising opportunity in the medical distribution space. Today's guest on Bearcat's Mean Business has never been afraid to break new ground. He also possesses some trademark Lindner and Bearcat grit. Reza Yazdian, a proud Lindner alum and founder of Synchrocare, joins us to share how his time at UC shaped his bold approach to business and leadership. We'll dive into the lessons that fueled his entrepreneurial journey, confronting risk in business, and how students today can take their big business idea from concept to launch and beyond. Let's get into it. Welcome, Reza.
Thank you so much for, like I told you, Grant, it was very kind of you and Sam to take time to bring me in here today and speak. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, man. So let's start with this. What experiences or lessons from Lindner and UC shaped your business and leadership journey? What do you kind of still rely on from your college days?
Look, when I look back at it, UC, like I said, when I come here and look at the campus, it's amazing how much it's evolved, right, Grant?
Yep.
And, I've told all of you that. And, one, I take pride in that as an alumni. But one of the things I can say is what I took away from the program when I was here was the network, right? One thing about Cincinnati, you have so many students from the local area coming here. And I think any student that comes here, you want to really tap into that because there's so many people you can learn from here and grow with that. And that's one of the things I've enjoyed over the years, just through the alumni base, reaching out. Look at me here today doing a podcast with all of you. I mean, that shows you the type of program you guys are running. You want to try to foster that.
Exactly. So you found a way to co-op with Airborne Express in a unique way. How did you make this happen, and how did your experience help connect your theory, what you were learning in the classroom at the time, into practice, into real world learning that you learned with Airborne Express?
Yeah. So when it was so funny, I was telling Sam about this. It's amazing. Your program now, I was reading, it's top 5 in the country now. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And one,
Thank
I'm
you.
proud of that for obvious reasons as alumni. But you got to remember, when I went, from what I'm hearing now, it's mandatory. Am I correct
Yes,
on this?
the universal co-op. Yep.
Yeah. Back then, I don't believe it was mandatory.
It was not, no.
Yeah. And so to answer your question, they were limited on how many they would get. So one of the things I've learned over the years, that's one thing UC was very innovative on, was when I saw a posting on Airborne, and Airborne at that time, if I recall, was a Fortune 500. They were doing very well. They were in Wilmington, Ohio. They had just booming. And logistics was a big market at the time. FedEx, every company was just really at that expanse stage. One of the things I learned when I saw the posting, it was just for a job for in packaging, nothing spectacular,
Okay.
right? Again, it's important, but it wasn't like, oh my God, it's going to be a great co-op. It was nothing like that. So I decided to go out there and meet with the sales management team. And I told them, look, I'm at UC. I'd like to see, is there any way you guys would be considered to do some type of program with UC and let me be a part of it? So in a sense, they agreed to it. I brought the sales manager down, excellent guy. And we came down, we met with the dean at the time, and we put together a program. And that's kind of how it evolved. And then I did it. And then it turned out from individuals that were in my fraternity, they were all telling me, my God, you got the best job compared to all of us. And we had to go through a whole process. But the one thing I enjoyed to see how UC operated, very innovative. They didn't, I guess what I'm trying to get at, Grant, they didn't just say, hey, we're going to do it this way and that's it. They kept an open mind. They looked at it. It shows innovation. And then next thing, it allowed me an opportunity.
Right.
And to me, if I have to say to anybody is, you want to work with people that are always going to want to see you grow. And the school wanted to see that, or they wouldn't have taken that initiative.
Right. They didn't keep you in the box.
Yeah, not at all.
Right. Yeah. And that's sort of a little taste of your entrepreneurial mindset, I think, right there from college. And 2 years after graduating from law school, a couple years down the road, you founded Synchrocare. What was the inspiration behind this move, and what business problems did you see that needed to be solved in this move?
Yeah. So, Grant, as we were talking, I think it was your uncle. He's an attorney. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, my background, my parents, when they came to this country, they were big in education. And education for us was huge. So for me, I was the first lawyer in the family.
Okay.
And I was very proud to do it. But my roots has always been business. I love business. And I can't tell you how proud I am being here today, seeing what you all have done. So thank you for that. But when I look at it, business is, what's the word I'm looking for? It's quick. You got to go fast.
Constantly adapting.
Yeah, law is a little more slow process. Nothing wrong with that. But business is really, it's that adrenaline rush. Everything's got to move quick. You got to be competitive. It's like a fighter, right? You got to get in there and really go at it. And that's what drove me. And so to answer your question, before law school, I was with Johnson & Johnson. Excellent organization. I can't say from when I was there, just one of my favorite places I've worked at. And I was given a leave of absence to attend law school, but it was tough for me. And I'll tell you why, Grant. When I was doing so well there and I was doing something I enjoyed, I didn't want to make the change. But I knew, man, I'm not getting any younger. And I want my doctorate in law, and I want to do that and accomplish it. So I took a leave, and they granted it to me, and then I went to law school. But my desire was always medical, and I love sales and marketing. And a lot of that was due because one of my degrees here was marketing, my majors. And, when I look back at it, I said to myself, God, this is an industry that it's fragmented. And God, someone's got to come in and really button this thing up somehow. And then that's when I came up with the concept of Synchrocare. It didn't happen overnight, right? It evolved. But I can honestly say now with where we're heading, Grant, when you can kind of start seeing the light, it's starting to blossom, and it's taken time to get there. But it's not because it wasn't there, Grant. It had to evolve. It's no different than UC with what you said with the co-op program. Look when they first started it. I'm assuming back then it wasn't number 5. Am I correct?
Well, we founded co-op back in the day, but yeah, you had to work up the rankings and show your work there.
Yeah, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's neat. It's evolved. I mean, look at the facility. This facility was nothing like when I went here. But that's took time, and they kept advancing it like an army, right? Moving forward. Well, that's what we've done here. And now we're kind of at that stage now, hey, we're ready to go. Let's take this to the next level.
Right. What advice would you give current students that maybe want to look to either emulate your path or do something similar and with their own entrepreneurial endeavors? How they can get from conception to launch and actually get off the ground.
I can't sit there and say what I have done has been excellent. It's been tough. If I had to share any insight, though, Grant, like I was telling to your colleague Sam, I think whatever you do in this life, it's not just about having the right place, right, at the right time. You got to be able to execute. If I have to give any advice to anyone from this school, go with your gut. If you truly believe in something and you think it's the right path, don't let outside people tell you no. You go with what you believe, and then you make that move. That's where the risk comes in, right? But I think also the other thing I want to say is, too, being a father of 2, one of the things with my 2 boys, I don't want them just doing what people tell them to do. I want them leading. You're going to have certain dynamics in this society that some people just want to work for people. There's nothing wrong with that. But I truly believe for someone to do something on their own, you got to be willing to take the risk. And you got to be willing to fail. And if I had to give any advice to anyone on that, don't be worried about failing. What's the worst case? You start over again. I mean, seriously, what's the worst case? At least you tried, And I'm also, a big believer on this, Grant. I don't like to look back at regrets. I like enjoying that, hey, I did that. There's so many things I still want to do, but for me, perfect example was law school. I wanted to do it. I did it. I accomplished it. That to me is something don't have to look back and regret, saying, God, I wish I would have done that. And so I always tell people, if you're going to do something, just do it. If it doesn't work out, you try again.
Take the leap.
Yeah.
Take the leap at least. And don't live with the regret of not at least trying it. So Synchrocare has just taken a leap with what you say is a first of its kind franchising opportunity in the medical distribution space. Walk me through your process of launching a business initiative like this, as well as your viewpoint on risk in business.
Yeah. So, when I looked at this, it's kind of like I was saying earlier. I think when you look at, you break it down a couple ways, right? Here, Grant. The medical device industry, it's like a good old boy network. However words we want to use, whatever phrase we'd like to use of it. And is that bad? No, it's out of sight, out of mind. It's the way it's been done. You'll have somebody that either inherited it or been involved in it, and then they take over. The other model is, Grant, going to work the traditional route for the big corporations like a Johnson & Johnson. Nothing wrong with that. I did it. Very proud of the company. I think they're a very good company. The problem with that model, not everybody's going to get a job, right? Because look at it. In America, you have 348 million Americans. And then you got to look at the population, and you look at college graduates coming out. There's only so many spots, right? And then you got to deal with the competition. What do I mean by that? You can't just have the education. You're going to have a lot of other tools to show. Why? Sales and marketing isn't easy. I mean, look at the program here. Now they have an entrepreneurship program. There's a reason they're doing that, right? Grant, because there's a need for it. And a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs. Most people, I truly believe, with where everything is going, they're going to want to be on their own. Does that mean everybody? No, but a lot of people would like to own their own business. Sometimes it's a cliche. Do you really own it? The business really, in my opinion, owns you sometimes. So I don't know if you really own it.
Yep.
But the thing is, there's something to say about that, right? But looking back at it, when I'm going into this, I would rather, if I'm going to put in time into something, build something that I have equity in. That's how I look at it.
Seems fair to me.
Your time is limited, man, on this earth. I'd want to maximize it. So to me, when I developed this, I thought, okay, this is a good balance. You could build this away. You build what you want. You're also in technology, which who doesn't want to be in that? And then medical. I'm not going to say it's not recession proof, but it's pretty close to it. Medical ain't going anywhere. So when I looked at it, you know what? We bring a package together to provide to the individuals that want to be on their own, but they're really workers. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's a big dynamic out there for that. And the way I wanted to design this was someone that doesn't really want to be involved in the weeds of running a business, but they're good at selling. They're good at marketing, but they like to have their own piece of the pie. And that's where I thought, you know what, there's a model here for this. Because there's a lot of people that want to be in the industry. They couldn't get into it or they don't know how to. So let's provide them that opportunity.
Okay, interesting. So tying that back into leadership, what hard and soft skills do you look for in potential leadership hires of maybe people you want to partner with?
Over the years, when I looked at it from the companies I've been with to now running a business and doing all this, I don't know if there's a perfect answer on that, right? But if I have to say for what we're trying to do, I would want an individual, he or she, that is going to be very independent. And what do I mean by that? He or she doesn't have to be spoon-fed. That they'll take the lead on their own.
Initiative.
Yeah, the initiative to start. That to me is entrepreneurship, right? They're going to take that momentum and go with it. And not everybody can do that. So to me, that's the key piece. No different. I told you, a friend of mine from high school, he's the CEO of McDonald's. When you look at the history of McDonald's, and how they evolved on franchising, they went back and forth on which ones to go with, what worked, right? Because only certain ones worked. When I look at this model with what we're doing, I think you're going to need someone that's he or she that could really take the stance to get out there, make the moves, not afraid to go talk to people, open up doors, follow through, follow up. They got to have that initiative, as you stated. And if they don't have that, I just don't think that person will probably be that successful in a model like this. So to answer your question again, that's what I'm going to be looking for. I want someone that's willing to take that initiative. Doesn't mean they have to do it all on their own. They're not alone. We're there with them. But they got to be able to wake up, go make the calls, and go do that. That's half the battle.
Yeah, the drive, the passion for it. Yeah.
And not everybody's going to have that. I think for where we're heading, I think when you look at the franchise models that are out there, I think for what we're trying to accomplish, I think it's unique. And I think it allows a lot of freedom, flexibility. But where I enjoy it is it's not as much of an investment as you would in a lot of these other models. And I think the bigger one I want to highlight is the freedom. Making your schedule, not having to depend on all these type of people to do the work to produce. I mean, that's what a lot of these franchises require so much. And you get pretty caved into that. My closing point on this, I'd have to say to everybody, and we've all been there, and I said it myself. I remember back in law school, I kept talking about, God, I want to go to law school. I want to go to law school. I kept talking about it with people. I mean, friends of mine probably got tired of listening to it. But I took the initiative and went and did it. If I have to say is what you stated, that's the key element. Okay. I think is taking that first step, and then it'll evolve.
Right. Now you're here with us at our still relatively new building, Lindner Hall. In what ways do you like to stay connected to the Lindner College of Business and UC at large?
So, Grant, I would be lying if I didn't say I have not been involved like I should be. And, the involvement I had over the years was reading all the successes you guys have been having. I'm so honored to see what you guys have done. And you guys should be very proud. And I'm proud as alumni. So one of the things I want to try to be involved, anything I can do to help out and try to bolster the reputation and help it grow. And so that's one thing I plan on doing. And I'm hoping with the company we're able to do that as well.
Now, you've also spent a lot of time and energy championing underserved populations during your career to make a difference and not a profit. Why is that?
One of the things back when I was at Indian Hill, I did a lot of charity work, and I did it with individuals the needy that needed food, like food drives, things of that sort. But then I switched a lot of my time to children. And then when I was in law school, I did a lot of pro bono for the elderly, and then also for military vets, and all these things. And those are the things I've enjoyed to give back. And I look at those three segments for me were a place where I wanted to put my time. Do I think I think one thing about charity or giving up your time, you should do someplace where you're passionate about.
Oh, of course.
And those were segments I was passionate about.
From co-op creativity to entrepreneurial courage, Reza's journey reminds us that bold ideas, backed by purpose, can lead to industry-changing impact. Now, whether you're a student with a big idea, an alum navigating your own leadership path, someone passionate about healthcare innovation, Reza's story offers a roadmap rooted in grit, vision, and problem solving. Thanks for tuning in to Bearcats Mean Business. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who's ready to take the leap. Your feedback helps more Bearcats discover the show. Until next time, keep showing the world how Bearcats mean business.